Good evening everyone, hope you're all well and staying safe. I'm not going to dwell too much on the current situation we're all facing at the moment. I'm trying to try and keep things positive and straight to the point. As always, we've had great response from you guys on social media regarding the Q&A for the Perch. And the lucky winner at the end of this will be announced. I'll pick out the favourite question that I liked, and that winner will win a pack of Ultra UV lures. So it'll be good to use them when you get back out fishing. So let's get straight on with it and onto some questions. Right, first question. Jamie Armstrong. What are your perfect conditions to fish for perch? And when fishing for perch, what areas do you tend to cover first? Right, first of the two. Perfect conditions for perch. Is there such thing as perfect conditions for perch? I've caught perch in all sorts of conditions really. Whether that be bright blue skies, bright sunshine, to grey, windy, choppy days on a boat. But if I was to sort of say the most productive, when I'd like to go would be obviously in summer, if I'm fishing the canals and stuff, in the rivers for the perch, I'd normally say first light in Armagh, and then we'll be up at 4:30. And I'd expect my best fishing to be between that time and 7 AM. And then sort of from there, it's sort of picking the odd fish off through that day. And I get more excited again when it gets to sort of late in the evening. So you're sort of looking at first light, last light, which is obviously the normal typical. That being said, that all depends on what clarity of water you're fishing at that particular point and the depth of water. If it's a bit more cloudy, the water's a bit more coloured, I'd say you get away with it a lot longer. You could probably expect the good fishing to last up until sort of 10 AM because the light penetration is not getting through there and affecting the perch too much. Because as we all know, perch have got big eyes, they're very sensitive to light, as all predators are. So yeah, my favourite time is sort of low light conditions, either first thing, last thing. I know guys have caught perch in the dark. For me, never happens. I've tried numerous times on various venues, and I just sort of when it gets dark, I'm either doing something wrong, but yeah, I can't seem to catch perch in the dark. So for me, low light levels, early morning, last thing at night. The second part of your question, when fishing for perch, in what areas do you tend to cover first? That's just, again, first of all, when I come to any sort of peg or canal wall, river wall, whichever it is, I normally fish right under my feet first. I'll sort of creep up to the edge, fish the margin first underneath me to make sure there's nothing sat there. If you don't get anything, you're pretty safe to walk around on that particular bit that you're fishing there. The last thing you want to do is to storm up to the side of a canal or a river or a pegging on a still water, start thrashing around and spooking fish under your feet, which you could have potentially caught. So they're the sort of areas I would tend to pick first, straight in the margins in front of me, and then I would sort of fan cast out if I was in open water, working the different depths, and obviously different retrieve rates. And obviously from there I would then, if I was fishing sort of canals, it would be the obvious structures, lock gates, mod boats, if I know there's a sort of a dying weed bed anywhere, anything that'll sort of create an ambush point for them. Because at the end of the day, perch are predators, and that's where they're going to sit. They're going to sit somewhere they're going to feel safe themselves and in a perfect place to ambush prey. Second question. Matt Aldrich. If you were in an area and started catching small perch, would you stay and keep casting and see if there are any bigger ones there, or would you move after a certain time? Also in this scenario, what would you work to catch bigger perch? Now for me, I'm a big believer in finding a small perch anyway. I do sort of tend to use the smaller lures to start with to help me find and locate perch. Once I've sort of caught a fair few, I'm talking sort of, half a dozen or so, I would then sort of, if I wasn't playing the numbers game, I would then start upping my lure size straight away. If I find a particular pattern that works well, I'd keep on that pattern, but just up the lure size. Sometimes you get bigger fish, they want a bigger lure. I mean, that's what I found out this past year, to be honest with you, a lot. So yeah, I would up my lure size. If I found I wasn't still getting any better stamp of perch and I was just still getting taps off the smaller stuff, then that would tell me I would then probably move. But obviously if I started getting the bigger fish, the stamp started going up, I would, persist a bit more in that area. So it's, again, it depends on what you want from it. I would say start with small first, locate the perch. Best thing to do is to locate them. Pointless casting lures in the area. If you don't know the water itself, locate the small perch first. Chances are they're not going to be too far behind the bigger ones. So that's how I'd say to do it. Up your lure size gradually. I mean, don't be scared. I mean, I've been using 9, 12 centimetre lures for perch, and you'll find that even an 8-ounce perch will have no problem in taking a 12 centimetre spiky shad or something like that. So yeah, do that. And in this scenario, would you work to catch a bigger perch? Again, as I just said, I would just work the lure a lot slower. If I was getting, a few tail nips, I would work it a bit slower just in case it was bigger fish, just being a bit inquisitive rather than snapping at it. Slow your retrieve down, do a bit more long pauses, especially in the winter months. I mean, in the summer months, you'll probably find the perch a lot more aggressive anyway, so you do get more of an aggressive hit. They definitely want it normally in the summer months. So that's how I do that one. Third question from Oliver Vallis. What is it about perch fishing that you love so much? I mean, they're just amazing. Perch for me, I mean, no matter what the size are, they fight so hard, they're so aggressive. 4-ounce perch can be as aggressive, if not more aggressive, than a 4-pound perch. And when they do get big, they're just something else. I don't know if it's I think it's just the characteristics of a perch. They fight pound for pound, way above the size. I don't know. I think it's just something about perch. They're crafty. They're a very, very successful predator. And I know they don't grow big compared to other species, such as pike and other predators, but they don't need to. I mean, a 1-pound perch is as beautiful as a 4-pound perch. So for me, I think they're just very impressive fish, and there's no better way than catching them on lures. The hits you get, the head shakes, they really do scrap until the last breath. They're a fantastic, successful predator, and you can catch them on a wide variety of techniques as well. That's another thing that's quite appealing about perch. You can catch off the surface, off the bottom, mid-water, crankbaits, soft baits, spinners, chatterbaits, you name it, soft baits. You can catch them on anything, as well as obviously all the bait, your normal bait methods. So you can perch can be targeted in a very wide variety of ways and techniques. I think that's what makes it so appealing. And the technique that I use to catch them obviously is so light. You can just grab one rod if I want to, a few lures, and just go out and catch them. There's no pre-baiting, like you get in other sort of areas of the sport and stuff like that, and carrying loads of gear with a tackle bar and things. It's just that aspect of just grabbing a rod, going off. That's what makes perch fishing for me just that little bit more special as well. Is just I can just go at drop of a hat for an hour or two down the river or the canal, and catch some beautiful looking perch, no matter what the size are. That's answered your question. Next question is from Michael Stoker. Hi Jason, what was the first fish you ever caught, and do you still get the same buzz out of fishing as you did when you first started? For me, the first fish I caught was a perch, as probably most people's are. I remember it quite well. Up a small pond, local pond where I used to live. Float fishing maggots with my dad. We used to catching the perch, roach, little small crucians. They were sort of the first 3 fish I used to fish for a lot, because it was the closest place Dad could take me on a weekend for a few hours. And that's how it started. Now, as for the buzz, I can't remember too much about the buzz when I first started. I think I used to get excited about going, because it was a long, long time ago, over 20 years ago. I'd say now the buzz is more. just because of obviously what I do now. I do remember getting it as a teenager. I couldn't sleep at night. You was itching to get up, constantly clock watching, as we all do when it's the morning to go fishing. And then back in the day, I used to do a lot of carp fishing when I was younger. I sort of moved on to predator fishing when I was about 13, 14. So prior to this, I used to do a bit of carp fishing. And I sort of started to lose that bug. I didn't get as excited anymore. I don't know, I didn't have that drive to go and get myself out there, which is then when I started twitching to predator fishing. It wasn't until I sort of got to like the age of 15, 16, and especially when I got my own car at 17, 18, it's, that opened up a whole new world. And that's when the bug really hit for the predators. I just couldn't get enough of it. And it hasn't gone away still to this day. I'm itching to get out, always get out when I can. And yeah, the bug has never gone from when I first had the predator bug. And I don't think it'll ever go. It's just something about predator fishing. There's a lot of different aspects of predator fishing, so you can mix it up, keep it interesting for yourself, change different approaches. And that's why I do a bit of my cat fishing as well in the summer months. Still targeting predators, but just mixing it up a little bit. Just keeps them things a bit more fresh and thriving to get a few more extra fish. So I hope that's answered your question, Michael. Thank you. Right then, next question is, how would you target perch in high and fast rivers during winter? Bit of a tricky one for me. I do a lot of my route fishing from the boat. So for me personally, if I was fishing a fast high river, if I had to get out, I would. And if I did, the areas I'd be targeting wouldn't be sort of the central run of a river. If it was flooded, I probably would prefer to fish it from the bank, and I would fish these sort of slack areas, just like you would on most rivers in a general run. Perch themselves, well, especially the prey fish that we'll be chasing, will all start shoaling up in the shallow areas, especially if the river's flooded. Obviously, there'd be fresh pastures for the roach, the prey fish to feed on, and in turn, obviously the perch will follow them. So I would try sort of flooded areas which I knew was safe and obviously snag free. I wouldn't be obviously risking losing any tackle if I knew there was railings or fences or something like that in that area that's being flooded. So yeah, there'd be slack areas, which obviously could be on the slack of a bend, the inner of the bend, which obviously would be slack water, or behind any sort of structure, whether this is a pontoon coming out or a moored boat, a bridge stanchion, stuff like that. Any sort of slack water behind there, because obviously the amount of water pushing through if it was running fast, obviously is a lot more than that they would be naturally used to. So it will push them out of their natural areas from where they'll be hunting or resting up. So yeah, so that's how I probably would sort of start personally myself. So that's answered your question. Thank you. Next question is from Alexander Blythe Munro. Jason, what's your favourite soft bait pattern for perch in clear and dirty water? Now for me, I'm a big lover of natural patterns when it comes to lure fishing. I'm not a fan of the bright patterns at all. So for me, it's any sort of natural perch pattern. That's my favourite for clear water. Reason for this, I think, just shows up so well. It's my most productive lure, without a doubt, in various sort of forms, whether it's in the little slick shad like I've got here, or the mini fry, or the pro grub. It doesn't matter to me what sort of profile in clear water. It is just that colour. It's got the bit of translucent there. I've got obviously the stripes to represent the small perch, and perch love feeding on small perch. As we all know, the cannibals. So for me, that's the best lure. Shows up well in the waters I fish in clear. Now for dirty, coloured water, for me again, it's still more of the natural colour, and it's just basically a dark motor oil colour. A bit like this spiky shad here, really dark, a little bit of fleck in there, dark silhouette. Shows up for me best in dark water. My most productive lure. But don't get me wrong, I have caught on such as lemon tiger, and our pink candy range and stuff like that. I know people swear by it, but for me personally, it is more of the natural colours, whether that be the natural perch in clear water or the dark motor oil UV in the coloured water. Now the UV thing for me is an important thing. Since I've been using UV lures, such as this dark motor oil one and the spiky shad, my catch rate has definitely gone up, without a doubt. I don't know all the ins and outs of the scientific thing with the UV. I know Mr. Phillips does. There's a video somewhere on the Fox Bridge TV regarding the UV, explaining it more clearly in the scientific terms of everything. But all I know is it does catch me a lot more fish. So it obviously does work. It's not just a gimmick. So yeah, hope that's answered your question, Alexander. Thank you very much. Next question from David McKenzie. If you were only allowed to fish for perch using one lure method for the rest of your life, which lure and method would it be? For me, quite an easy one. It probably would be a Texas rigged critter. Now, the reason for this is that it's such a versatile method. You could use it in nearly any situation, any depth. Obviously, as long as you change your weight, your bullet weight. But no perch can resist a critter. On the toughest of days, if I've not been catching, I put on a critter, and generally within sort of a couple of casts, if you knew there were fish were there, they do fall for it. It's an exciting way of fishing. Doesn't matter if you was on a river, canal, or a still water. If it was rocky, you'd be fine. If it was weedy, you'd be generally fine. If it's a flat, hard bottom, you're fine. So I think that's probably the most versatile one I'd have to pick, just because in most conditions, different situations, it would get me through, compared to a standard jig, which obviously weedy conditions or rocky conditions might not be very a wise choice to pick. So yeah, as simple as that really. A critter, Texas rigged, and obviously a Texas rig for another reason would be you can actually work the lure a little bit more natural. It does fall at that little bit slower rate, so it does seem to pick out the weariest of fish. They do feel a bit more confident in hitting, and I've had quite a lot of my bigger fish on critters since I've been using them over the past few years. So yeah, I would say it was definitely a big fish lure as well, which is obviously I like to catch big perch. So for me, critter, Texas fished. Next question is from Lee Spillard. What's your favourite type of retrieve for perch? Tricky one. I've got a favourite type of retrieve. I probably wouldn't say my favourite. I probably one I just tend to use the most, which would obviously just be a standard start-stop retrieve. Bouncing a standard jig head along the bottom, but obviously varying the amount I retrieve, the speeds. How long I leave it sat still on the bottom, how fast I retrieve it. That would probably be my most used one. I wouldn't say it's my favourite, because obviously you adapt to different situations throughout the day, and I only change my retrieves up all the time. So I have no particular favourite, but just one I tend to use the most. That answers your question, Lee. Thank you. So, next question's from Martin Reeves. What's your favourite soft plastic lure pattern and size for perch? Now, I brushed on this earlier actually, with the clarity thing. My favourite lure pattern has to be a natural perch. Again, for the same reasons, it's just realistic. I love the natural patterns. For me, that's the most productive pattern. And it shows up in a various type of waters really well. Obviously regarding they're not too murky and mucky. Natural pattern perch is a very versatile pattern. Will show up in numerous different water qualities. Size wise, it'd have to probably be the 5 centimetre if I was fishing a canal. I just always seem to find the smaller size lure on a canal works a little bit better. However, if I was fishing the river or a gravel pit, so still water, something like that, I do jump up to a 9. I've been catching a lot of big perch on 9 centimetres lately. And you know, even sometimes I'll jump up to a 12. I mean, I've sort of over the past few years become a believer in using bigger lures, and it certainly has made a difference. And I've caught a lot more bigger perch. I think a big perch, when they sort of grab prey or lure, as in our case, they want it to be a substantial meal, and for their efforts when they become bigger, just like most species of fish, they become quite lazy. So when they do make the effort to catch one, they want it to sort of be substantial and make them last. So I do believe in using a little bit bigger lure than what you would probably feel comfortable using. It would be the key to catching or the chances of catching a bigger perch. So again, that's why I do normally use, on average, a 9 centimetre. Okay, next question is from Richard Boggs. How did you catch your biggest perch and what size was it? Now, this is quite an easy one to remember for me because it was only a couple of months ago. The perch was £3.14. It was a very tough day. I fished all day hard on the still water, trying various techniques, methods, different lures, which I'd previously caught on from there, but just nothing seemed to work. So I went back around to a small bay which I'd previously worked sort of mid-morning. This sort of time it's getting to around sort of 3:30. So just, the light's starting to fade now. I went back to this little bay, with a real long cast diagonally across the bay to the far corner. And it was a 9 centimetre pearl UV spiky shad. A standard 5 gram jig head. Casted it across, just working it along the bottom really slowly, because by that point I'd slowed my retrieves right down. I'd tried various things throughout the day and was having none of it, so I thought, right, just slow it right down, give the pauses way longer than I would normally. I was leaving it up to sort of 20-30 seconds, just leaving it static on the bottom. I'd probably say 3 or 4 turns of the handle, 2 or 3 pauses, probably made 15 yards of coverage from the bay, and it just slammed the lure. I genuinely thought I'd actually foul hooked a carp. I've never had a perch run like it did. It just I'm only using a little 8 gram Terminator rod, and it was literally hooped over, and I was like on the tree on my right hand side, so I had to keep my rod right out, and it was just ripping line to the other far corner, and that's when I thought, I've foul hooked a carp. Eventually it stopped, luckily, because it was heading for a weed bed, and turned, and it wasn't until actually got out in front of me, it started, the head dug in, and I thought, hang on a minute, this isn't a carp, this is a perch. So I'm shouting my daddies further around, working another area. Bring the net, did the classic, wandered off, no net with me, So Dad comes running around. By this point, it's still way out. It's the best fight I've had from a perch. I've got numerous 3 pound perch, and sometimes they don't fight, that great. But this thing was a whole different level. And when it came up on the surface, 2 rod lengths off in front of me, I actually did think it was going to go 4. I looked at it and I thought, wasn't long previous to that, I'd actually witnessed a 4 come out by Chris. I was there, and it was, I knew it was that sort of calibre. Slipped it under the net, weighed it, and it was 3.14, but to me at that point the weight was quite irrelevant. I was quite, in a way, pleased I hadn't got the 4. It still gives me something to chase. Potentially could get another 3.15 and still not get the 4 pound mark, but I'm sure my time will come. Whether that will be, I'm hoping it's a river 4. That would be a dream for me to get a river 4 pound fish. So my river PB is 3.12, so it stood that. So 3.14 now is my biggest, and I'm still hunting for that 4 pounder. Right then, the final question is from Dave Guest. What's the best ever venue you fished for perch in your life? well, it probably have to be a reservoir called Toff Newton, which is fairly local to me. It's a localist reservoir, you can fish anywhere. The reason for this, just the stamp of fish. It's a place which can offer sport all day. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can be tough at times, but if you get it right, hit it on the right day, use the right method, it can offer some amazing fishing. I've never known a fish which have such a good stamp of a good head of 2 pound perch. I mean, you can get into you can have like, and I've done it. I've had 10 twos in like an hour. It is absolutely ridiculous. There's some good threes in there. I've had plenty of threes, but it's the 2 pound stamp. It makes good fishing, really good sport. You rarely get anything small. That is sort of average fish. It is beyond belief sometimes. I mean, as some of you know who are fish toughed, the average stamp of fish is such a good, a good size and a good weight. I mean, that's probably down to the pure quality of the water. There is, it is a very rich water, very well run. So yeah, that's probably my all-time favourite if I was to pick one, just because of the sport. Right, that's all the questions done with now. So it's now down to me to pick the winner for the pack of UV lures. Now, I think I'm going to pick, for my favourite, is a question by Oliver Vallis, which was, what is it about perch fishing that makes you love it so much? I mean, I think that question is the best one because, end of the day, that's why we go fishing for them. If you didn't have the love for them and you couldn't explain why you love them, then, there'd be that would be sort of the missing point of why you start fishing for them. So I think that's a very valid question and a good question, and obviously we'll get them pack of UV lures out to you as soon as we can. But obviously, given the times we're in at the moment with the postal services, obviously we'll get them to you as soon as possible. So thank you for the question you sent in on social media. I enjoyed answering them and reading through them. And stay safe, everyone. Don't forget the fish will still be there when this is all over. So thank you. Take care.